Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Line of Scrimmage podcast. Obviously, this is the first video on here, so really new to all this stuff. But this will be, a lot of draft content, a lot of NFL content. Trying to get everything out as much as possible. So hopefully it goes well. I'm going to start off with my first mock draft for the year. 2024, obviously, early. We got a couple months before the draft starts, but hopefully we can get things going here. Combine starts tomorrow. Today is Monday, the 26th. Combine starts the 27th. We did just get some news that Caleb Williams will not be throwing at the combine. So I don't know. Could be a red flag for some people. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but we're going to get started. So, first pick in the draft, obviously Chicago. I could see them trading down. This is the first mock draft, so I don't know. I'm not big on that right now for them. I think ultimately they will take Caleb Williams. Um, Known as a generational quarterback prospect. I am not the highest on him. I'm not gonna say he's bad. I don't know. There's some things that raise red flags. The footwork, the Lincoln Riley offense has been really easy. Not saying that is a bad thing, but got to watch some more film on him. Right now, I have him as my quarterback two behind Drake May, just based off of film I've seen. And another big thing is the character. There have been a lot of character concerns. I know this gets brought around every draft, but you know, there's a couple years with the painted fingernails against Utah and stuff like that. Might end up not being a big thing, but you know, you really never know. But I got the Bears taking him first overall. Second pick, Washington, another team I think that could trade down. I don't think they will. I don't think they should, but they could. Um, but right now in this mock, they'll take Drake May. I think this is the easiest pick. I think he is a surefire stud in the league. He's got the build, he's got the arm, he's got the mobility. Um, God, he'd be a stud in Washington with McLaurin and Dotson and all those guys. Hopefully the new regime start things off fresh, new ownership, get things going with Washington finally. Patriots, number three. Another team I think that could trade out of this spot. We've heard the Vikings are interested in coming up. Falcons could come up. Raiders could come up. Broncos could come up. Um, I don't know if they'll trade down simply because I got them taking Marvin Harrison. I don't think they're high on a lot of quarterbacks here, not because they're bad prospects, but I feel like they might try to stick it out with Mac Jones one more year and wait it out. Gerard Mayo, new coach in there. Maybe see if he can get something out of Mac Jones, sign a free agent, trade for Fields. I think it's really hard to pass up on Marvin Harrison right here. Top five prospect in the draft, not only receivers, but he's going to be a stud for New England. Fourth overall, Atlanta comes and trades up, and they take Jaden Daniels. Again, I am unsure about Daniels only because he's got to start taking less hits. NFL big different than college. Could be like RG3, but also you see a lot of his passing skills on display consistently in the SEC. I think pairing him with Bijan, Kyle Pitts in London would be insane. Zach Robinson, new offensive coordinator. I think this is a good fit if he does pan out as an NFL quarterback. For this trade to happen, I would say it would take maybe two to three first round picks and a couple and change. I think Arizona would be willing to trade out if Marvin Harrison gets taken at three because I really don't know who else Arizona would take. You might as well get draft capital, trade back. But if Daniels falls past three, teams are going to try to get up for him. Fifth overall, Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, new coach. Don't see him trading out of here. I see him picking Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is arguably the best prospect in the whole draft. He's an insane receiver and an insane blocker, just unbelievable in all aspects of his game. Better tight end prospect than Kyle Pitts was. I think he's a difference maker day one. Could be a top five tight end his first year in the league, also. Um, Six overall, the Giants. Another confusing one, a team that I could think could climb up the boards. But if they stick here, I got Malik Neighbors. I think Neighbors is going to be a stud, an absolute animal for any team who gets him. You saw his production at LSU. LSU receivers seem to work out in the NFL. But all jokes aside, I think he is a heck of a player. Seventh overall, you got the Titans. Another team who I think is just going to stick and pick. They take Joe Alt. Beef up that offensive line for Will Levis. Gosh, I would love to see Will Levis just be able to succeed. I think he's got all the tools for a franchise quarterback. Team could take a receiver here, but ultimately, I think you got to start beefing up that offensive line with Brian Callahan. Eighth overall, here's the Cardinals. Got this from the previous mock trade with Atlanta. They take Rome Odunze. I think Odunze has the potential. He's a lot of times somewhat overlooked because Marvin Harrison's in here. I think he could have the potential to be even better, possibly, than Marvin Harrison. Not saying that as an insult to Harrison, that's a rise to Odunze. I think he is a stud. He's going to be an animal. If you want that number one guy, I think Odunze can be that guy right away. I think he's going to be great in the league, and I feel like that's a perfect fit for him and Kyler Murray. Ninth overall, Bears, second pick. They got this from Carolina last year. They take Olufushanu, another guy who I think is just a freak of nature. Could have came out last year, would have been a top 5 pick. Didn't come out, stayed one more year at Penn State. Penn State still went 10-2. But man, he is going to be special, especially surrounding him with Caleb Williams. That'd be a good keep Caleb protected. That'd be a good pair. 10th overall, Jets. They take Taliese Fuaga. Fuaga, another guy I think might be a little risky, but the Jets really do need a right tackle. They've needed one forever. Seems like Mekhi Becton is not going to work out. And, Rodgers, even before he got injured, and Zach Wilson after, the offensive line was horrible last year. They were terrible. They need to beef up that offensive line, and they need a right tackle. Hopefully, they can find one, whether it's Flaga or Latham. One of them, I feel like, is going to be really good. Flaga, I do have the questions a little bit, but hopefully he pans out for Aaron Rodgers' sake. At 11, we got the Vikings. Again, a team who I think is going to be trading up. I think they're going to be aggressive. But if they do stick here, Dallas Turner. Another guy, I think Dallas Turner very well is a top 3 prospect, no matter what position in this class. He is a freak as an edge rusher. You saw him at Alabama, the impact he made in those games. Without him, I don't think they win as many games as they did. I think they're a much worse team without him. Guy who can play in a 4-3 or a 3-4, but he does fit Brian Flores' 3-4. Pair him with hopefully Danielle Hunter coming back. If not, he might be by himself. Wanham and Hunter are both free agents. I think if Minnesota doesn't go quarterback, Turner is a no-brainer here, and I think it's a steal at 11. 12th pick, Denver, JJ McCarthy. I am high on McCarthy. I know a lot of people aren't. I think McCarthy, the personality, the leadership, and he's already been in a winning environment for 3 years at Michigan. I, people really do hate on him, and I wasn't the highest on him, but I started watching a lot more film, and I'm like, man, this dude, he is a dude. He can play. I think it got overlooked by the great running game that Michigan has, but man, you give him a shot to throw. I think he has the potential to be a top 3 quarterback in this class, and I would not mind taking him in the top 15 whatsoever. 13th overall, Raiders. They take J.C. Latham, another team that needs to beef off that offensive line. A lot of questions at quarterback. Nobody I think is really worth picking right now for the Raiders, realistically. I would take Penix here, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. Penix, I think, is going to be really, really good. But regardless, you get Latham, helps. Alex Leatherwood did not work out. You kind of got to kick that down the road. Antonio Pierce gets a big right tackle for them, hopefully, and kind of start establishing some culture there in Oakland or Las Vegas. Sorry. Pick 14, Saints, salary cap hell. A lot of things they can do here as well, but I think they'll take Jerzon Newton. Um, Dennis Allen, what maybe has one more year as a head coach, unless he does really good. I think this is his make or break year as a head coach. Jerzon Newton, um, an animal, freak of nature. Again, take away positional value of everything. Jerzon Newton, I think, is definitely worthy of a top 15 pick, and he can be a difference maker for the interior of the Saints. At 15, we got the Colts. Terrion Arnold. Arnold, again, made a great impact on the Alabama defense this year. Lengthy guy, can play against obviously the top competition in the country. You saw in the SEC. He comes in and he'll start right away for the Colts, who desperately need help in that secondary other than Kenny Moore. 16, Seahawks, Jared Verse. Guy, he could have came out last year, would have definitely been a first-round pick. Really quick off the edge, big guy, nice build, good bend, all that stuff. Seattle, I think, needs another edge rusher. They need any help they can on defense. And Mike McDaniel, Mike McDonald, sorry, he would love this guy as their first round pick. Jacksonville at 17, they take Latu. Again, Latu, some injury questions, but man, if he stays healthy, his medical checks out. My goodness, I think he could creep into even the top 10 or be the first edge rusher taken. A lot of questions about Josh Allen's future in Jacksonville. But even if they re-sign Josh Allen and pair him up with Latu, can't be mad about that if you're Jacksonville. Pick 18, Cincinnati, Amarius Mims. Again, another team that needs any help they can on the offensive line. Joe Burrow has had a couple injuries the last couple years, his wrist last year. Hopefully T. Higgins coming back on the franchise tag, so he's got his weapons. I think you have to protect Burrow, and this would make a big difference in keeping him healthy. Pick 19, Rams, Nate Wiggins. Add a key piece to that secondary after they lose Jalen Ramsey. Wiggins, I think, is the best cornerback in this class, ahead of Terrion Arnold. However, this is not what I think. However, this is what I think teams will do, not what I think they should do. I think Wiggins falls to 19, and this is an absolute steal for the Rams. Pick 20. Pittsburgh takes Kenyon Mitchell, another guy who is close to Terrion Arnold. I think this guy's really overlooked because he's from a smaller school, from the MAC, Toledo. However, the speed, the length, just the ability to play corner at a high level. Doesn't matter that he was in the MAC. I think he's going to be a stud in the league. 21, Dolphins, Tyler Guyton. Yet again, another tackle goes off the board. Very deep tackle class. Got to try to protect Tua. Their big needs up front on the offensive line. Hopefully, this will secure one of the tackle positions for the future for the Dolphins. Pick 22, Brian Thomas. Now, I think in this mock draft, this is the biggest steal. Thomas, I think, has talent to be in the top 15 or even 10 players in this class. He is just, and again, he gets overlooked by having Malik Neighbors as another top prospect, but this is similar to an A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf scenario. And you pair Brian Thomas with A.J. Brown, give Jalen Hurts another weapon. Man, I think Philadelphia is going to be scary. Pick 23, Texans, Jackson Powers Johnson, the center or interior O-line, most likely would play at center, give CJ Stroud that key piece to the offensive line and hopefully give Houston a chance to even contend for a Super Bowl next year. 24, Dallas, Troy Fautanu. Dallas needs offensive linemen. They need them. Tyron Smith, I don't see him coming back to Dallas. And I really think, man, this is a make or break year for Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. They have the weapons. I don't think they need another weapon. I think they need beef at the offensive line, and this is a perfect pick. Pick 25, Cooper DeJean. The wow, this guy is a Packer. You can just tell. You can tell he's from Iowa. Green Bay would love him. They need help in that secondary. Need big time help. Um, you got to think this guy will be guarding Jefferson, DJ Moore, even Amon St. Brown. Maybe he's going to make an immediate impact, hopefully, for the Packers, and he would be a great kick returner as well in the league, no matter if he plays cornerback or safety. Pick 26, Chop Robinson to the Bucks, a guy who is starting to slip in to the first round. I see in a lot of mock drafts. I think he's a good player. However, he's not your prototypical edge rusher like nowadays. He's a little thicker, not as many moves, just kind of a short skill set of pass rush moves. But I think you coach him up. He's got the physical ability to be a stud in the league. Pick 27, Byron Murphy's the second. You know, this guy, you saw him against Washington. He was on the screen a lot. Um, Gives Arizona some big help in the interior and gives Jonathan Gannon a piece, as well as Roma Dunze gives him an offensive pick and a defensive pick. And I think Arizona is building something special there. Pick 28, Buffalo takes Keon Coleman. I think Keon's been a little underrated in this draft. He's a tall, bigger receiver. Pair him with Gabe Davis, hopefully coming back. Stephon Diggs, hopefully coming back. Khalil Shakir, one of my favorite guys in the league. Gives Josh Allen another weapon. I could also see him going offensive line here, but I think ultimately Buffalo's going to want another wide receiver. Pick 29, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Sorry about that technical issue. You know, this is a bit of a slide for him. He didn't have the most impressive year compared to Terrion Arnold. However, I think, again, this is not what I think teams should do. It's what I think or I think this is what will happen, not what they should do. If it's what I thought they should do, Kool-Aid would be much higher in the draft. I think he's got the length. He's you can tell he's going to be a guy, man. And the eye test is a big thing for me. People get so focused on measurables and stuff like that and statistics, but I think you watch him play, he's going to be a good. So this is a big steal for Detroit at 29. Pick 30, we got a trade. Las Vegas comes up, trades with Baltimore. Likely would be second, third round pick and change. They come up to 30. Las Vegas takes Michael Penix. Now, don't get me started on Penix. I think the bias against him because of his injuries is the stupidest thing I've heard recently. I think if you just watch this guy play, forget the injuries he had. Forget the injuries he had. Watch him play football. Man, he can throw that thing accurate. He can throw it fast. He can throw it far. I think how he's getting overlooked is the stupidest thing I've seen. Any guy can get injured. Now, if he does get injured, I'll never hear the end of it. But if we're talking straight skill set, you got to take him in the first round. The fact that he is not even talked about as a top 5 quarterback in the draft is ridiculous to me. Take injuries out of it. This kid's going to be a stud. I shouldn't say this kid. He's 25. That's another thing. Age as an insult, like age is a downside. Age is an upside, I think. More experience, great arm, great tools, can avoid pressure. Injuries are the only thing, but any guy can get injured. I think we need to stop talking about the injuries. Look at how the guy can play. If Las Vegas gets him at 30, it's an absolute steal. Pick 31, 49ers, Jordan Morgan. Another underrated guy in the class, another offensive tackle off the board. Big guy. I think he's an animal. Great player. Get him paired with Trent Williams or even be Trent Williams' replacement. I think that's a good draft for San Francisco. And the last pick, Chiefs are not going to trade down. They're going to stick and pick. They take Troy Franklin. Speedy guy, good size. There's a lot of guys Kansas City could take here. I think they have to take a receiver to pair with Rashee Rice. Um, because I don't know if Rashee Rice is a number one. I think Troy Franklin could be a number one. I think he would be a steal at 32. But that would be it for the Chiefs. I think that that could be a big piece into their three-peat.